I think that's always like shame and guilt and all those negative emotions are such a barrier in counseling often, and often such a barrier in processing on a deeper level. And so those are definitely things to be able to sit in because oftentimes like feeling shame and sitting in shame is sometimes so uncomfortable that people then engage in any sort of behavior to get away from it. And so just helping people kind of be able to tolerate that a little bit more, to be able to kind of experience pain and learn like maybe I can feel guilty at times and it's okay, or I can feel a little bit ashamed and that gives me good information about something about myself that I need to kind of work on. So I really kind of take the approach that emotions give us valuable information and insight, and let's look into that. Let's look at that information. What does it tell us? Oftentimes I find that people really kind of like resonate with the idea of like an emotional vocabulary and just kind of letting them know, like, as males, like our emotional vocabulary is really different. We're taught that anger is okay. It's okay to be angry. It's okay to be, pissed off about something, and that's totally okay. You're allowed to. But if something makes you upset or something makes you sad, that's not so okay. So that's oftentimes where people get into some problems because sadness comes up in everyday life, and if we can't feel it, it's got to go somewhere. So often kind of explaining that emotions have to go somewhere, and if we're not feeling them, they're probably coming out in ways in which you're not expecting. Like anger is what we call like a secondary emotion. So it's something that is kind of on the surface, it's kind of on the outside, but underneath it is like a primary emotion. So something that we're kind of feeling that is masked by the anger. And oftentimes that's guilt, shame, frustration, rejection, disappointment, any sort of number of negative emotions. And that's usually what's kind of underneath it. And people don't often realize that there's something that's fueling that anger. There's emotions that I don't want to look at, but anger feels like the safe thing to feel. And also, yeah, letting them know anger is on a spectrum, that irritation to one person can mean one thing, irritation to another person can be a much bigger thing to somebody else. Or something like rage or frustration. Like those words mean different things to different people. So helping people identify, what does frustration mean to me? How big of an anger word is that? How big of an anger word is rage? How big of an anger word is irritation?